Hi, I'm Savannah, and welcome back to 5 Broadway Babies. So, this week's topic is kind of how on stage, even though you have the same lines and the same show, kind of, every night is a different show because something different always happens because it's live theater. So, there's always going to be something that's a little tiny bit different than what happened the night before, the day before. So for my part of the topic, what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to take another example from Status Update, which for anyone that hasn't seen our videos before, Status Update is the show that I was in in February at the Barra Group Theater, which I love, so I will use any time that I can to refer to it. So Status Update basically is about growing up and being a teenager in today's society with all these technological advances, things like Facebook, texting, IM, all that lovely stuff. And so there's this one scene in particular which makes me think of this topic of how it changed every night and worked well. There's a scene where my character Megan was with another character named Tucker, and every night the actor that played Tucker, he and I changed around the script just a little bit, and we kind of, our director kind of understood that because at every rehearsal it was always different, and there's always some line that was a tiny bit different or something that we just did a little differently. And this scene is really fun to play with because it's a scene where Megan and Tucker hate each other so much, and they're in AP Bio together, which was taken from my life of being in AP Bio and hating it a lot, which you can probably imagine. It's terrible. And so they're in AP Bio together, and they get paired to do a lab together, and they do not get along. So they're doing this lab, and it's on meiosis and mitosis, and so during this whole time, the tension is just building in this scene, like up and up and up, because she is barely doing anything, but she feels she's doing enough, and Tucker's doing his part of the project, whatever. They just can't stand each other, and so the tension keeps building and building, and finally they are full out screaming at each other, and then they're screaming, you're like, oh my gosh, it can't get worse than this, and then they kiss, and you're like, what just happened? So, we chose to have a lot of fun with this scene and take a lot of liberties with this scene. So, seriously, every single time we did it, it was a little different, and we were at one rehearsal, and we threw into the mix, since it was about meiosis and mitosis, we're like talking about one of the tables, and we're like saying, sorry, my hair got messed up. And so we're saying, we look into the microscope, we're saying like, okay, here's this, that, and then my scene partner Harrison, who had been my friend for a while, he's just like, oh God, there's mitochondria all over the table. So just like stupid stuff like that every single time changed. And then after the mitochondria incident, our director said, hey, can you keep that? I'm like, what? Keep what? Because every time the way that we made it work was, especially, I can't speak so much for my scene partner, but if he worked anything like me, is that I get extremely into character, extremely to the point where I think that some of the best scenes are when you walk off stage and you're like, what just happened? If you don't remember, because you're so into the character. So that's what I did with all those scenes in Status Updates. So then he's like, yeah, can you guys keep this? And we're like, what do you mean? So that's kind of what I think of when we say everything is different every night in theater, because this scene, literally every night, the lines were different. Something was different about how we did it. One thing that we actually kept is, for example, we were in part of the scene where right when they kiss, my character goes, what the heck was that? And then they're just supposed to kiss again, but instead Harrison, as Tucker, blurts out like, I don't know, let's find out. And that stuck because it was so funny, and that was a very memorable line, so that stayed. But every night we would walk off and be like, yeah, that was awesome, because I don't know what just happened. Because it was just a crazy, crazy scene, and there's just a lot of fun little lines that you could always mess around with. So I think in that way, then the audience that saw it more than once enjoyed it, because they're like, oh, it's the Megan Tucker scene, like, what are they gonna do? I didn't know what we were gonna do either, so it was interesting for everyone. Video's almost 5 minutes. We have this new thing where it's supposed to be under 5 minutes, so, okay, I love you. Bye. I'll see you next week. And Mia, break a leg. Oh yeah, under 5.